Let's fight. We're going to unplug on some people this evening. We're going to unplug on Claudette, unplug on the installed PPP folks who not managing this flood well at all. We're going to unplug on some of you because, as one guy used to say, nothing's irregular. Nothing's irregular at all. Welcome, folks, in the ring. It's Unplug Tuesday, and we're going to unplug on some people tonight. I have with me already Mr. Khemraj, Ramjattan, the leader of the Alliance for Change, and also a member of Parliament. And I have with me again Nicole Telford this evening, who's going to be helping me through some of these issues, to wade through some of these issues. Folks, you have to share the live stream. You have to retweet on Twitter. We share on Facebook. You have to subscribe on YouTube, and you can like my page on Facebook as well at Sharon Avery Duncan. And when you like that page, you get the notifications just as on YouTube. If you subscribe to the channel, you get the notifications as they come in. As we upload stuff on YouTube, you get a notification. As we come live on Facebook, you get a notification as well. And those folks on Twitter, we haven't forgotten about our Twitter folks. You know, we love you guys. Each and every one of you, we love you. We love you guys. We love you ringsiders. We love you trenches. We love the Jagabats. Welcome in the ring, folks. Unplugged Tuesday, we have lots of things to talk about. So why don't you give the live stream a share, and then we're going to get right into it. I think I have Nicole with me already. Nicole, are you there?
Yes, I am. Good evening, Sarah.
A very good evening to you. I just want to know if the audience hearing you. Folks, Barbados, are you hearing Nicole there? Let me know if you're hearing Nicole loud and clear. I don't want anything to mess up our audio this evening.
Hearing, but not loud and clear like we are hearing you.
Waiting for you guys to share the live stream. Good to see each and every one of you. Hope you guys have had a good day at work. Hope you guys stayed dry today. Hope all is well where you are. But we know for lots of people in this country, things aren't so well. And let me bring my guest up right up this evening without any delay. And again, as I said, we have with us this evening Mr. Khemraj Ramjattan. Sir, a very good evening to you. All right, let me see.
Am I being heard now?
Yes, you're being heard.
Yeah. Yeah, well, thanks very much and for having me on again this evening with Nicole. Lots of topics I rather suspect
Yes.
you're going to discuss. Lots of bob and weaving to go on here tonight.
Yeah,
But
and you
what do you call it? What Muhammad Ali used to say: "Sting like a bee, float like a butterfly, and sting like a bee."
sing like a bee. That's it. That's it. and you're going to help us to, along with Nicole, to wade through some of our hot topics this evening. And right off the bat, we want to talk a little bit about the flooding that has been occurring. Welcome, Nicole, officially.
Oh, thank you. Good night to you and your viewers.
Awesome.
Also, good night to MP Khemraj Ramjattan.
Good night, Nicole.
Chief, we know that you went to Region 6, among other places, checking out the communities to see what's happening there. What did you see on the ground in Region 6? We know that has been one of the hardest hit regions as well, where this flood is concerned. What did you see on the ground there?
Well, it's the ground is in terrible shape all across Quarantine. After crossing the bridge there, we went up to Kanji to pick up a comrade, and in the process, that area was not as badly flooded like the other areas in 47 village and 51 village and 56 villages and so on. So it was a little better. But almost everybody in that quarantine area have been either flooded or waterlogged to the extent that crops have been, you know, as they say in quarantine, melt out. And also the animals being affected, so many things happening to their lives, and you know, the need for more sanitation. It is really horrific, in my opinion. It's the worst that I have seen quarantine after heavy rainfall, and of course, bad management of the drainage system. And I also noticed very many people in and around certain areas, and this is outside of Blackbush, making complaints because there seems to be a collision course with a number of rice farmers who are aback the 44 to 51 lands planting their rice. The water that is supposed to be drained out onto the Yakasari main canal there, not being allowed to because of some violence from members of the Blackbush community. The minister and the chairman of the region apparently worked out a resolution that for 8 hours, the coca at the back there should be open to let the water drain out into the Yakasari big canal. But some members of the Blackbush community, they don't want that. They're saying that their homes and their homesteads are under threat of flooding, and more, well, not a threat of flooding, but threat of disease now, and they don't mind. It is better for them to be saved as against the rice fields of, that's their argument, that the rice fields of these farmers from 47 and 46 area and so on, and 45 area, that they be docked out. And so I did make some calls to some senior ministers because this thing could get very violent. And at least one person, a cousin of mine, was arrested. And I also went up to check on that. He was not doing anything wrong. He was doing as the minister had indicated, open the coca. And when he did that, some people from Blackbush reported that he is doing something wrong, and the police arrested him. Of course, they released him when they realized that he was doing nothing.
There's a tension.
This kind of thing is going to bring a lot of conflict.
Do you sense there's a tension between the, let's say, the rice farmers and the cattle, poultry, livestock farmers there in terms of who should be getting first preference?
Well, it is not necessarily, yeah, there is an element of cattle farmer and so on, because a lot of cattle also in serious trouble. But it is largely, how do you, on a balance, share the opening of the cocas to go into the main coca for purposes of carrying out to the Atlantic. And a lot of these lands at the back there are conjoined by various coca systems. And, you know, if you just block off the cocas for the 47, 46, 45 farmlands, it would mean that their rice that they have planted there is going to be flooded out for days. It's already 6 days that it was under. So you have to give them an opening so that it could go into that main coca, which is bringing out the water from the Blackbush side, which is in very, very severe shape. So it is how you balance it. And I understand that they balanced it by saying 8 hours per day, these rice farmers should be allowed to send their water out on that main big coca at Maibikuri. But the people, soon as they open the coca and lift it up with the rope, a Blackbush man would come and cut the rope, and the coca would be closed back again. So they can't get to drain their water onto this big main canal. And right through also, if I may say too, is that you have apparently the NDCs were not prepared for doing anything. The 52, 74 NDC or the Good Hope 51 NDC, they didn't do any preparatory work to clean any drainage canals or drainage trenches next to the public road or even at the back streets or anything of the sort. So all this rain came, and I must say that it was heavy rainfall, but the preparatory work by these people was not there. And then also, so much of the equipment half performed, either because they were not properly in order, well oiled for the May-June rains, and also because they were not around. They were at some other places, some of it private people who are PPPites, I'm being told. So you will have a lot being said now, a lot of criticisms will be made, but at least the NDCs ought to have all those drains. You see those drains that are full up with weed and a whole set of other things and so on. These should have been cleaned, ready for the May-June rains in preparation for knowing very well that the Meteorological Center and even the climate unit and all of that were saying that we're going to have some heavy rains this time. And
But
that is
that's
how...
similar to the charge the PPP was making in Georgetown, that Obraj deliberately did not open some of these sluices and so on to flood and to affect the people of Georgetown. Like these people in the areas where the PPP dominate in quarantine and so on, like they deliberately did not clean these drains and so on to affect these folks.
Well, look, let me tell you something. It's a complete ill-discipline and indiscipline of so many of the local leaders and also of central government too. The Region Democratic Council, my friend Armagan is the chairman, but apparently there was absolutely no preparation. So the argument can be made that because quarantine is now blocked, it looks like they were sleeping on the job, because you get this president running out at 2 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock in the night, fishing for some evidence, and getting the evidence as he opines, stating that he saw when the man was sleeping and all of that. He wasn't there when the man might have cut it off just a couple of minutes before, but he's making loud statements. What kind of statements are you going to make now for quarantine? Because quarantine is flooded. The severest of the floods is in Blackbush. So you want to say that had he gone there, you'd see some coca attendants sleeping? Let me tell you something, Sharad, and this is fundamental to this thing. When the president went out there, it was to vilify black people again. You see that man that I am certain that he was told, come here and see what's going on here. And he wanted to make an example of telling certain people in this society, look now, look who asleep on the job. It had racial attributes about it, that nonsensical nighttime drive in there to that place. I am glad that the man explained it to the mayor, but it just goes to show what the PPP government is up to, how to vilify and unacceptable, scenarios creating in the minds of their supporters. Look who caused a flood in Georgetown, why? Look, a man asleep, and a which man? And then you take out the photograph of a black person. Let me tell you something. This government has that as its intention.
As you're on that, this is the PPP councillor here that we're seeing on screen from Port Morant, and he was complaining that he didn't even know some of the pumps there were working.
Yeah, well, that is so true too. That is, again, a lot of them don't even know where the pumps were. As a matter of fact, some of them didn't know what parts that they had to get for. And some of the engineers there didn't even know. You remember I was talking about the coca there at 45 at the back of it. They seem not to know, although I understand the engineers went to that area and they saw what was happening to the farmers of the frontlands in 47, 46, and 45. But apparently they're so scatterbrained now. This thing has confused them beyond acceptable behavior. They're forgetting where and where. And then we understand that some dams and crown dams are overtopping. Where the water is coming from, we don't know. Then they you know, and I could understand because it's a severe pressure moment for all of them. And we have to have a checklist every time 1 month before the rainy season starts. Making checklist of all the items, all the pumps, all the repairs that got to be done, get it done, and then all the drains that got to be cleared up, and so on. And you know, it is crazy. So that is why we would have, even in Port Morant now, you're gonna get flooding. Here, Chesney, severe flooding all across the place. When I was there yesterday, I didn't go into that Chesney area, but I am seeing now from some other people who took a truck and was driving around. Same situation, and a lot of loss of livestock, poultry, and so on. And
Raj, I was looking at that very video too.
But there is going to be also diseases, because a lot of these people use pit latrines in some of these areas, and they all kind of float up now because of everything being flooded out. And you might have potentials for cholera and leptospirosis and so on. And the children, basically all of who are home, they can't go to school. Well, they can't go to school because of the COVID, but moreover, they can't write the upcoming exams, and so many problems I heard from whilst talking to the various people that I talked to there yesterday. And they're all in look at that, look at that. But that is in Kwakwani, where it is terribly bad, in a place called Lamp Island. But Sherrod, this thing can be, you know, mitigated. And I want to say that we have to have a big plan and a big effort. And I am hoping that the president, instead of running around nighttime talking to hardworking people who are so tired and all of that, he should call in and engage the opposition, call in and engage other people, so that we can have what is called a national crisis being resolved nationally by all the stakeholders. He does not want to call us in. He does not want to even talk to us or engage us. And we have some ideas. We also would like, I would like to say, as AFC leader, I would support appropriations for the purposes of getting more and more equipment out there to do the drainage system in a quicker way. And
but they're not even convening parliament.
Yes, that's the point. That is the point. So they just want to block the thing, you know, like how they block up all these front trenches. So it is important that we if you want the support of the opposition to bring this crisis, just like the COVID crisis, you have to engage us, and not to demonize and dehumanize certain people who are hardworking, and you're running there 2 in the morning to find out whether they're sleeping or not. What nonsense is that?
Raj, the installed Minister of Agriculture is from Region 6, and the last time I checked, his villagers were saying they didn't see it even though they have flooded out. Do you think he and they have a handle of what is happening in Region 6 there?
Well, look, I know it is a difficult thing at the moment for him to be all over the place. But in any event, at least he should have been there with his countrymen. But I don't know if they will ever be able to come out of this thing in a satisfactory way. It is lacking a plan. It is lacking the resources. They don't even want to go to parliament to get the resources. It is also lack of designing a better system, and lack of preparations, lack of so many things. And all these deficits will make them suffer what is called a kind of a being affected mentally, you know? That is what is happening here. The pressures are all over the place. The people cussing them, real nasty. When they went to 52 somewhere at 658 village or somewhere, they gone out to Chesney. I hear the people cussing them. They've been to Blackbush. The people cussing them. And I understand how it could affect the brain, but they must understand that they must go there, take the cost, but also provide the plan of how we're going to come out of it, and who will be involved, and hopefully they can get the monies by virtue of involving the opposition. We got 350 million US dollars in the Bank of America, Federal Reserve Bank. We got enough money that can take care. You could take a set of millions just to buy equipment to ensure that these places are redogged and all the pumps can be rehabilitated to brand new status. Why are you leaving the money there?
Khemraj,
Why? Because
there's a school
you
of
want to
thought that
control it.
suggests there's a school of thought, and I don't know if Nicole wants to jump in here. There's a school of thought that suggests that the PPP has allowed this situation to degrade to the level it is now, where you have loss of lives as of this morning, to get contracts into the hands of their supporters and their cronies. There's a school of thought. So while you're talking about getting into that money that we have put up overseas for a rainy day, there's that school of thought that says that they have allowed the situation to degrade to where it is so that they can give out big contracts to friends and family. And we have seen a lot of big contracts being given out already.
That is what I've been hearing on the ground too. Relatives of ministers, relatives of regional officers and vice chairman and all of that. But we have to verify these matters because you do have a lot of gossip sometimes. But it is important to understand that that is also an attribute of the PPP. You create the emergency situation so you don't have to go through the tender process for bidding for contracts and so on. You give a friend and you give a family, and then But it was terrible. It was terrible.
Yes, Sherrod. I would want to agree that they may have capitalized on this recent development, but not that it was a total plan of theirs from the inception. I think it was incompetence. And just like was claimed in the press conference today, and that is being claimed by MP Khemraj Ramjattan about their lack of knowledge of where anything is caused by the dismantling of the systems put in place by AP and UAFC under the stewardship of David Patterson, former
And I'm coming there.
Hold up. Here was two. I checked on DPI page, and everyone knows that the PPP likes to advertise what they do. And guess what? If you check on the page and scroll way back when, there is not one single high mark in a trench, not one single mention of anywhere being cleaned. And normally, if they go out and they go to do anything, they take out a picture and post it. We've been and do this, we've been and do that. So, go anyone, the international community, the persons who creep over to your page to disagree and to propagate for the PPP, and even citizens of Guyana and the Caribbean could check and see there is no picture of no IMAC or no digging of no trench or no canal, no preparedness. They did not indicate that. But you found the local government minister, Nigel Darmlal, was busy all around the town, either handing out contracts to his family and friends or beating up on the mayor. By the way, if you check the mayor's page, you will see that the mayor was all around Georgetown, checking pumps, checking the market, checking the communities. You go and check and scroll, but you got to do a lot of scrolling because they got a lot of pictures up there with them running around the country, busy sharing out hampers. Not one image.
And COVID.
And even as up to now, not one image of a high mark is out doing any desilting of any canal to further alleviate the pressures people are feeling in communities across the country. But you have the president and a team sit down watching fall slow.
Yeah. And that is very sad. I mean, right on this program, we showed a video in Region 5 where a former contractor was a farmer and former contractor was complaining that the drains, this was before the rain started, the drains next to his farm were being left, without the silting and so on, taking out the weeds and so, because the contract was taken from the person who had it with the change government and given to a friend and family, and the person had not started the work. So I can imagine now how the situation can be compounded by such inactivity.
Well,
Yes.
it is
So they
discrimination,
capitalized,
here,
they
Sharon.
were prepared, and they were things. Today on the press conference, Honorable MP Ganesh Mai Paul indicated that there was a regional risk management unit that involved a collaborative effort between the CDC, the NDIA, and lots of other stakeholders in Region 3 that would have be in charge of the silting and digging. He, however, noted that there were floods, but the water run off pretty quickly. But in this case, the water is staying on the land, and that is because of neglect. And the neglect is due to the silting up of all the trenches and the waterways, impeding the free flow of water out to the different channels. And that we must understand that they are trying to hide. You understand? If they had gone into those communities and if they had not dismantled the systems left in place by AP and UAFC, they would have been able to manage the flooding. One and other thing to pay attention to. Lots of persons who may have flood insurance. Let's see what the insurance company is going to tell them when they go to apply for apply for relief from the flooding and the damage that may have been caused as a result of this their homes or farms or whatever being flooded. Let's see what they say. What's the cause of it? You understand? And how do they address it with the government? So those are some of the things that the um, installed government should be paying attention to instead of watching Paul slow press conference and going to attack a president going to attack a pump security officer when he has so many other persons below him that can go and engage with that person. He leave where he is, the whole country flooding to go and check on one or two pump attendants. So and to distort the facts and the truth. You understand? Which MP David Patterson clearly outlined the systems in place for the pumps and all of that, and the height of the water and releasing the water. Who, might I add, is a professional engineer, you understand, and had this country clean and well managed on the AP and UAFC.
Right?
Yeah.
Well,
I want to also make a statement. I wasn't hearing Nicole that clearly. She got to speak in a little louder to the microphone. And I've put my volume a little high here too. So, in any event, I want to also state that in certain areas, like when I visited quarantine there yesterday, they were saying that hampers have been distributed in certain areas and to the exclusion of other areas. Now that is a nasty thing, unacceptable, repugnant thing for the region and those in the administration up there. And that is the area, especially 51 to 53 villages, whom a lot of people I spoke to there yesterday, as you can see on some videos. That is not nice. And then there was an offer that they're going to bring back chickens to help people whose chickens got lost. and died as a result of the flooding and so on. But some areas are not being offered any. That too is very, very serious discrimination, and so on. So look, this thing is going to cost this country a tremendous amount. Prices of goods and vegetables and everything else will go up big time because it's a whole lot of farms. And out of Blackbush there and other areas in quarantine, you used to get a lot of greens, Belanje, Bora, Karela, all them things coming from with these various trucks and so on. And in a couple of days' time, you're not going to get anything. And the prices in Guyana are going to go up. That is going to be a heartbreaker for all our public servants and other people in Georgetown too, because cost of living will be the impact, will be the result of this non-planning for this rainy season by the PPP administration in those agricultural areas. So we are in for some real tough times in Guyana as a result of this. But we can, as best as possible, mitigate by having this national consensus as to how we move to make sure that we resolve these problems. But we're not getting that from the administration. We're getting the Irfanian kind of attitude of going in the dark of night to find out conveniently who is alleged to have been sleeping. And that is not good enough.
That's a very important point you're raising about this kind of discrimination as to who gets, flood relief hampers and so forth based on which party you're voting for. We have been tracking at our end here some of the development that has been happening in the region. And I want to point out that same kind of inequity we're seeing. You had this installed president who has said that it is an essential part of his government to have inclusion and for us to stop being defined by race and by politics. But you have articulated what is happening in lots of the regions as the people have been feeding us the information. But look what we have noticed here. And this is from, and we pulled this out from Sabuk News, a quote-unquote independent newspaper. 12 indigenous communities get $105 million COVID relief. Indigenous communities, I'm on the left-hand side. Indigenous communities see 300 million boost in agri activity. Indigenous communities to benefit from French donation of $2 million to combat COVID-19. 22,000 Region 6 students expected to benefit as distribution of school vouchers begin. Manichan. Sport Minister donates equipment to agricultural residents. We've seen the millions and the billions, right? President promises to aggressively explore opportunities for Tiger Bay. And the list goes on. Right.
Well, no, it is distinctly the policy. I have mentioned this. It is a policy that is very polarizing, and it is a policy that has racial and political discrimination behind it. The PPP are out there doing exactly that. And I have spoken several times on this television, this interview in the ring, that is what they're doing. And the evidence is coming out more and more all the time. So they're going to promise certain Tiger Bay officials, they're going to promise the agricultural youths, but they would have granted certain millions and US millions over to other people, other sections. It's sectarianism. That's what I was talking about. Just because they want the vote. And that is not how you run a country. If your policies are not right, the country will punish as a whole. And you must not just go and seek sections of it to satisfy. That is not the good governance that we want. And that is why this thing, I don't know if the question that Nicole had asked there had to do with the Paul Slow issue, or are we coming to that? Because I wanted to say...
We are.
I'm not hearing you. You're not.
That we're coming to slow very, very quickly.
Okay, good.
to point out more issues on this very topic that we're on here. Look on the other side of this graph that we together. Ramson fulfilled promise to box on for $2 million. 67 million road upgrade for Blackbush border. Quarantine River Bridge to pave way for major development projects. Edgil. Jagdeo justifies Wales location for gas to energy project. Government to set up agriculture extension in Berbice. Education Minister offer government support to Buxton Friendship Youth Incubator. Again, the kinds of inequity we're seeing where the millions are being pumped. Look at this other graph now. This is the other question I thought Nicole was going to touch on. So, for instance, the massive firings of our community health workers from Region 5, Region 6, Region 10 going to be compounded, or the flood situation is going to be compounded by the firings of these persons, community health workers who would have been out there right now collecting data, talking with citizens, seeing where the hurt is and how the healthcare system is going to be brought to bear on this flood situation. Thousands of firings and dislocation will now compound the relief that can be brought to these flood victims. Khemraj?
That is so true. You have it very explicitly stated there. These are facts that cannot be disturbed. These are facts that are telling the truth of the situation as to the extremely discriminatory attribute and actions being taken by the PPP. I mean, I am glad that y'all are collating the material like you have just done and revealing it to the public. That those things should go into a dossier that we are preparing for, especially the foreign diplomats that are in Guyana. Because when you start dehumanizing by virtue of all these methods one section of the society, when that section gets angry, it will be for the further disaster of this country. And I think that is what the PPP wants to provoke. But right now, it has gone a kind of mad as a result of all of the pressures now coming on them, even by their own supporters, who they have made so much promises to, like the promise that they're going to ensure that when I went into Kanji yesterday, talked to some fellas, they're going to give back the employment to the sugar workers and so on. They can't do it up to now, Skeldon. That Ashley Singh was talking so much that they're going to reopen Skeldon. Wait, think they're going to be able to reopen Skeldon? The people know that they can't do it. And that is why it is important that so many people now are saying that these are just promises, empty, hollow, shallow promises. And it is worse now in view of the fact that they are not governing by virtue of preparing as central leaders what is to come, what is to be taken care of. And they feel very vexed about it in quarantine and in all across the country. And as we said, the impacts are going to be seen. It's going to be worse. And a lot of people are going to lose their jobs. Businesses are going to close down because of this flood. And so it is really...
And more rains expected. More rains expected.
That's right. It's May, June, and we just into June now. We got another full month to go. And because of climate change, one can expect that this thing is going to be elongated. We have seen elongated May, June rain periods, and it is extended into July and so on. So we are in a serious shape. I hope to God that it doesn't go that far, but one has to be prepared.
Khemraj, just shifting gears a little bit, as you mentioned earlier, as Nicole said, instead of being out there in the long boots trying to see what reprieve and redress we can give to our communities that are hurting because of COVID-1 and because of this epic flood, national flood, the president was listening slow during a press conference recently and responded so quick. If he responded that quick to COVID after this flood, we'd have a better country. And to raising public servant salary, we'd have a much better country. You heard the allegations that were made by Paul Sloan, former Assistant Commissioner of Police, that the president, in legal terms, tried to procure him to appoint his people to high positions in the police force. What were your thoughts?
Look, I saw the president's reaction, and I saw Paul Slow's interview with Mark Benchkoff that brought out the scandal. And I must tell you that I've been a member of the bar for more than 25 years, cross-examining witnesses and watching their demeanor, watching the way they answer questions. The president, in my opinion, is lying. He did ask Paul Slow to promote some of his friends. I believe Paul Slow. But
Yes.
based on the demeanor and the answers given and all of that. And it is my opinion that they are out to get Paul Slow. And this thing also has to do.
Well, Anil, the unruly horse has come out and said that the government has lost confidence in Paul Slow.
Who says that? I didn't hear you.
Anil Nandilal, the installed Minister of Legal Affairs, Attorney General.
Okay, yeah. Well, whatever he says, you know, he's garrulous. He'll say anything. He could, them fellas, this can be, I don't know what you call it, but it has to do with something in their minds. They can talk these falsehoods and lies all the time. I mean, up to now, has that fella shown you his first degree? Our president? He ain't got none. And I want him to show me that these things are the basis, because I had to tell some of the quarantine people yesterday. You're surprised that the man not keeping his promises? You're surprised that he's lying? Oh, come on. We had asked him for his first degree. Did he show you? Well, which first degree he got? And that is why when Paul Slow made that statement, and in that very, you know, calm manner, indicated what was asked of him on 3 separate occasions by the president, and he got the phone number and he keep them and so on. Well, the president then all over the place yesterday.
And the president did not dispute calling him, which is indictable in and of itself.
That's right. Look, I think it's a brazen attack on another guardrail where there ought not to be intervention, political intervention in the Police Service Commission. I have given a very extensive interview to Branford Burke the other day, the day after the thing happened, because I could have realized that it's out and out they want to get the Police Service Commission members. They want to halt their promotional activities of certain people who are deserving. And they want to knock them off by all manner of things. And I don't know why the Prime Minister is getting on to behaving as one of their acolytes. He got lots more credibility. And all kinds of shows.
In that press statement that was issued by the installed head of state, Irfan, he talked about, you know, wanting the independence of these commissions, but we saw constitutional agencies came under assault. It was APNU AFC that, for instance, gave the constitutional agencies, including commissions, independence with their budgets. But the PPP came and rolled all of that back. And then they come talking to us about independence of the commissions.
There again, Sharon, it's clear. That was another guardrail of democracy that was knocked very early. As a matter of fact, one of the earliest parliamentary intervention by the government to do away with the constitutional agencies' financial autonomy that we had stored in 2015. One of the first things they did in 2020 was to amend that law to make it back a constitution, not a constitutional entity anymore, but what you call a government department or a government agency, whereby their monies are going to be controlled by the finance minister. That's a big shame. And it is in that constant way, every now and again, you see a new development happening every day these days in recent contemporaneous times of a brazen attack on all the guardrails we had reinforced the democracy with, and also all the guardrails we had reinforced the financial architecture with, and they're being broken now. It's a brazen attack. And when we know also the nature of the beast, they love to control. They're going to put in some people in that police service commission, and at every hour of the day, when the president wants, he could call them. Or when Jack they want, he could call them and say, look, I want this policeman promoted. You see the policeman there? He must get demoted or he mustn't get promoted, and so on. And like, that is what the country is going to go back to. You had very strong characters, especially in Conway and Slow. And he is now the West Indies Cricket Board security officer. You know, them people not going to take anybody, any jagabat and put them there. But this is what these fellas now want of Paul. So they want to get rid of him. And it seems that like they don't have any self-restraint in how they approach these issues. The men got to go in August month. I mean, there were things in our government from 2015 to 2020 when we inherited.
Whatever they want to do, they can't even wait till August. They can't even wait till August. Whatever they want to do.
But I am hoping that these men are not going to fall apart as a result. They're going to hold strong and do their job until August, when, of course, it is every likelihood that they're going to be changed.
Chief, then we got Claudette. The folks at Claudette swing. Nicole, I don't even know where to start. Like I tired with Claudette.
Don't be.
Nicole?
Not only Claudette, it's pure incompetence. Incompetence by an installed administration. From COVID handling right down. They're even underreporting crime.
Well, look, on that matter, I want to be fair to her and indicate that
what is you?
It is a developing story. It is a developing story. And she was a very close friend in the legal profession. Well, look, watch how you're jabbing here, because I want to state that, it is a developing story. I understand the opposition has now filed a motion to knock off Lowenfield and so on. Is that what the point you're getting at the GCOM level?
Very well. And she has written saying that that he must show reason, him and Myers must show reason why they should not be dismissed. But I am of the opinion that if you have all this fraud and rigging taking place, how Claudette can see and how Claudette don't know? How Claudette is a saint in all of this?
Is that official that she? Is that official that she has indicated that she wants them to show cause?
Yes, Khemraj, it is official.
Okay. Oh yes. Why ask Myers to show why she shouldn't be dismissed? Well, they should get quite clearly that the presumption of innocence. I don't know if it's because of the charges. I haven't seen that clearly. But it is somewhat a premature thing, because the charges, one is presumed to be innocent until proven guilty. And if you don't make up your mind now that indeed the people have been proven guilty, and you want them off the place, well, I mean, that is somewhat premature in my mind. But I do not know all the regulations.
Criminal charges brought against her, private criminal charges. We never knew the reasons why those charges were dropped. The DPP just dropped the charges and Claudette blocked. Right? Yeah. Claudette was part and parcel of GCOM. She's the head of GCOM. The buck stops at her. She should be showing cause why she should not be removed. But the others, not only Myers and Lowenfield, why Claudette is exempt? Because she handed them a declaration that said that they won on votes that weren't verified. She is suddenly exempt.
Well, I agree that there is a distinction of treatment here, and but I am certain that the press can also ask why that kind of attitude from her at this premature level. I would have thought that she's going to wait until, of course, the decision of the court that there's something to be to base that she can base her decision that they might not be supported to be continuing as employment there. But this has taken me by a little surprise here. I mean, I
Imagine
didn't
it is
expect that from
because a
her.
lot of people talking in Claudette's ears. If you think or any Guyanese believe this is based on our own deliberate judgment, right? And suddenly this is separate from this petition or what have you, the motion that has been brought by these installed government GCOM commissioners. They are divorced of each other. It is to suspend willful disbelief because Claudette is being influenced by somebody. This is not my own deliberate judgment, right? Claudette Swing.
Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent.
Well, let us see what this show cause that she's asking for, how that is responded to, and what is the decision that she will take. Look, these things
But
sometimes are
Khemraj,
very difficult.
Claudette is going down a dangerous road because we've been here before and we saw this movie. This where you take action before things are done and the facts are known. Claudette was in a case. Remember how we got to the recount, Khemraj? How we got to the recount? There was a contempt case that eventually had no basis and no evidence, which got
Exactly.
us
It
to
was
the recount
withdrawn and dropped.
and was withdrawn. Right? And so when you base this motion and asking people to show reason why before the court has pronounced on a matter, we had done the same road with the same woman.
Yeah, it does. It does throw a different light on the approach that she's taken here, and that is why I would really want to have some other questions answered, because I would want to still give her the a kind of the presumption of regularity, but
But
it is
Khemraj,
somewhat
you
questionable.
are giving her what she's not giving Myers and the
That's
father
right. That's right.
and Lowfield. It is quite strange that a woman of supposed ilk, judicial and otherwise, like Claudette Singh, would be taking such a position. Right? She could say to the commissioners, Sanjeev and the other two Jagabats, hold on, let us wait. We've always waited to see what the courts pronounce. And that is the example she has set in the commission. Now she's going down a totally different road.
By giving them an option. She's
It
actually
is
giving them
unfortunate. It
an
is
option.
unfortunate,
I agree.
and that doesn't seem nice at all. So I will certainly give you some more on this in another interview. But certainly let me also see what is happening there, because it is an unfortunate development, to put it mildly, if indeed she is taking that approach in view of the fact that she knows that the presumption of innocence applies. Just like how Irfan Ali had 9 charges and he didn't remove himself as a president. Nobody asked that he show cause why he shouldn't be a parliamentarian. No, this never asked for that, and so many things. Because you act on the presumption that these people did not do anything wrong until they're proven to be wrong. I don't know what might have done this kind of development to come forth and emerge in this way. But
Mm-hmm.
I will want to leave that there until such time as I can get some more information. But it doesn't look nice at all.
Awesome. Khemraj, thanks for coming by and helping us bring context to these many flood issues and sub-issues, and especially to this issue concerning Paul Slow, former Assistant Commissioner of Police, and this developing, as you rightly said, GCOM issue involving why, asking Mr. Lowenfield and Myers to show cause why they should not be removed from their designation there at GCOM. Thanks for coming by, sir.
Thanks very much, Jared. And have a good night. Stay safe. And of course, as we have been saying here, get vaccinated. Thank you.
Nicole,
Yes. Sharon?
what are your thoughts,
Sharon?
Nicole, on Claudette?
On Claudette, I maintain that Claudette is actually saying I will knock you off. But give me good cause why I shouldn't. That's what that letter said to me.
Claudette is Claudette.
Yes.
That is what it is. Claudette has
Mhm.
already shown her hands.
She
And just
made up
like
her
how they have
mind,
said, just
and
like how they have said, they have lost confidence in Slow. We have lost confidence in Claudette.
confidence in Claudette. Hmm.
Claudette is like a recluse, is like a reclusive scientist or a writer. They emerge at rare occasions. You would
You
think
know
she's a
what's the
public figure.
occasion? You know what's the occasion? The flood. Their mismanagement of the flood hits hard. So they use Claudette again to bring out that. And Sheikh Bash to bring out the dismissal of the 70 workers and the 300 pending. So is smoke screen throwing things in the face so that that will lead the news for this evening or lead the discussion. But we will never ever forget that they're incompetent, they're hiding because of mismanagement of the flood. We would not forget their mismanagement and mishandling of COVID. Let me tell you something, Sharon, quickly. COVID, they had their own people, PPPC supporters sharing out the COVID cash grant. Guyana has post offices. They got Amerindian community in the Amerindian
They got
community,
banks too.
The Tushao Council offices. They have the post offices across the country. They have 10 municipalities. There's all kind of different areas where monies can be distributed, as is done in the Caribbean and in North America. All of those monies will go through a certain channel to be tracked. The opposition has asked for uh, um, look at the documentation for that same COVID cash grant distribution because of the discriminatory practices. And up to now, that is not done. Then now we come down to the flood, where the flood has devastated the entire of Guyana.
And then you
Hundreds
got
of
Claudette too.
thousands.
Claudette is another flood. Claudette is a plague on this
And then
country,
we have
right? She's
Claudette.
one of the
And
seven
look
plagues that
now,
are unleashed. Nicole, she's one of the
of
seven plagues,
crime.
right?
And then we have the crime situation that is being underreported by the government. You understand? Crime all over. Look on the US website,
And
they're
Claudette
telling
is a
people
criminal.
how to
Claudette is a
protect
criminal because
themselves.
Claudette wants to convince us that she was there. Lowenfield did all this massive rigging on or attempted rigging on epic proportion and Myers and Mingo. And she was the Mother Teresa sitting down there and she didn't know. Give us a break, Claudette. And wherever hole
Yes,
you crawl out from, crawl back in. Because every time we hear you and see you on these rare occasions is misery to this country. Give us a break.
exactly. Exactly. Quite correct. Quite correct. So, Sherrod, there's a lot the PPPC has on their plate, and it's a lot of smoke screen they're shining up by the little petty um, stunts they're pulling, the visits here and there. It wouldn't count it. They got to get down to the serious job of managing, collaborating with local democratic organs to manage this country effectively. That's what they should be concentrating on, and stop with the pettiness and the separating of the nation and hiding under the cloak of oneness. Social cohesion is it. You have to socially be acceptable to your
Nicole, they're
neighbor
hypocrites.
and
They
live
know nothing about
country
that.
free.
Hypocrites. Nicole, that being said, as we go, there have been two more COVID deaths today and 105 new cases in Region 9 alone. 109. So the flood seems to be exacerbating COVID. Folks, so you have to remember to social distance, wear a mask. Don't be like the PVP. Sanitize and practice all the other COVID-19 protocols. And as we run inequity, look what is happening here. Look what is happening here with the next set of vaccines. According to the media folks, we are making this up. Single dose vaccines being imported mainly for hinterland areas. Yeah, check them. Right? Who that in this country and the PVP badly wounded. They're so terrible at management. Nicole, the final words go to you.
Well, there's no final word other than protect yourself, wash your hands, stay safe, put your furniture up. Do not meddle in the waters, especially in the uh, squatting areas and all the different areas that may have contaminated water from pit latrine, burial ground, and other carcasses, because that can lead to terrible diseases. So be careful when walking in the water, wear long boots, and stay safe, my Guyanese people.
We're gonna leave it there, folks. Stay safe.